Harvey York's Rise to Power. Chapter 4. An explanation? Why should I give you an explanation? Harvey said coldly. First, Mandy is my wife. Please stay away from her. If you want to make a scene, go someplace else. Second, if my wife loves roses, I'll buy them for her. She's so gorgeous. How could such plain and cheap things suit her? I'll send her the roses from Prague tonight itself. What the F, CK? Are you mentally retarded or just plain stupid? One rose from Prague costs more than $1,000. I heard that you were asking for a scooter from 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐝 yesterday. You're just a good-for-nothing. Even if you sell your kidney out, you couldn't even afford to buy one of those. Why are you so daring, putting up a show here? Don appeared cold. He enjoyed a privileged status in York Enterprise. How can a son-in-law like him talk to me like this? Besides, the thing which infuriated him the most was the incident in which Harvey smashed his flowers and dragged Mandy into the elevator. What the hell did the star want to do? Thinking about that, Don smiled coldly all of a sudden. He seemed to be so sure of himself. Mandy, aren't you in need of $5 million for your company's funds? I could help you with that. What? Mandy was stunned. Don said calmly, Mandy, I know that your company is in need of $5 million. Fortunately, I have that kind of amount in my hand, and it could be used as the funds for investment. If you have a meal with me this afternoon, it'll be yours. Are you serious? Mandy let go of Harvey's hand unconsciously. Her company did need that amount of money. I always keep my promises. Don appeared quite confident. Sure. After considering it for a while, she gave her word at last. If she did not gain such funds, her company would most probably go into bankruptcy. Let's go, Mandy. We could discuss the project and where we're going to have our lunch later, said Don politely. Dear, you can't go with him. Before Mandy could speak, Harvey stared at Don angrily. His facial expression worsened. Don, I'm warning you. You better stay away from my wife. Don sneered. How can a useless son-in-law decide about this? Why? Are you afraid that she might cheat on you? Don smiled faintly at that moment. You're just a good-for-nothing. Do you think that you can change your fate? Harvey's facial expression changed, and he wanted to say more. But at that moment, Mandy walked out of the elevator and said coldly, Harvey, don't be unreasonable. Am I being unreasonable? Harvey was stunned. Do you know how important this investment is to me? Mandy looked at Harvey in disappointment. If he were more capable, I wouldn't have to be like this. She sighed and followed Don out of the lobby of the company. She then got into the BMW. Dear, seeing that Mandy had gotten into Don's car, he rushed after her quickly. He then said, Dear, don't go with him. I have the money. I'll give you $5 million. Harvey, why don't you go and look for a job? Don't be daydreaming here. Mandy sighed. But Harvey was about to say something again. Don had now walked towards him. He patted Harvey's shoulder and said solemnly, What's wrong? Are you looking for a job given that you're just a useless man? Do you need me to recommend one for you? Luckily, my company is in need of a cleaner. Do you want to give it a try? You'll be paid around $200 every month. I'll pay you $50 more as your subsidy for Mandy's sake. How about that? Don said seriously. York Enterprise is owned by the Yorks. It's not easy to enter such a big company. Don't miss out on a chance like this. You need to think about it carefully. Harvey pushed Don's hand away and said coldly, I don't need that. Oh, how ungrateful you are. Don shook his head, and he could not be bothered about Harvey anymore. He opened the door of his BMW and got into the car immediately. Dear, don't go with him. I'm able to help you with that $5 million. Harvey did not give up as he looked at Mandy, hoping that she would change her mind. Unfortunately, Mandy ignored Harvey's request. Harvey, don't shout anymore. You better don't daydream here given how poor you are. What can you help Mandy with? Do you have $5 million? Do you know the CEO of York Enterprise? You better think about where you should go begging for money after you're kicked out of the Zimmers. Don burst into laughter. Don rolled down his car window and smiled in disdain. Harvey shouted, Don, don't be so smug about yourself just because you're rich. Excuse me, Bstard. It's indeed such a good feeling, being rich. I can easily ask your wife to come with me, just because I can. If I want her to get into my car, she has no choice but to comply. If I want her to divorce you, she'll have to act accordingly. Don burst into laughter. After Don went away in his car, Harvey stood at the entrance of the company dispiritedly. A mere project manager from York Enterprise could make my wife get into his car. Even he could ask my wife to divorce me. York Enterprise is nothing but just a company under the Yorks. In it. As he was talking, he fished out his old phone and dialed the contact number from the previous day. It's me. I can help the Yorks, but I have two conditions. First, York Enterprise belongs to me from today onward. Second, help me to order the best roses from Prague and send it to Zimmer Advertising Company using a way which is generally favored by women the most.